Jonah, your mystery man? His name's Frank Castle. He's a self-styled vigilante, calls himself the Punisher. He's wanted by the FBI, and even the CIA want him for questioning in the disappearances of various crime figures.
Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books, I love talking about them, I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot, synopsis, and character bios for this issue. We are continuing our run of the Punisher limited series. And we're looking at the Punisher number 3 from 1985. Great cover by Mike Zeck. And this was airbrush, so Mike Zeck would do the pencils, and Zimmelman here would then airbrush it. So that was a big thing that was during the 80s. So you would see a lot of airbrushed covers here. So, all right. So we got a couple of people here, but the main guy that we're looking at is the guy in the middle, Carlos Santiago. And these two are headed to the car, and they're talking about that gang violence that is happening around. So, of course, they're going to get into the car, and you can already see that there's people there. And suddenly, they are shot, and Carlos is going to make his way to the car, and his brothers are killed, and he feels really bad. He's like, it had to be Ejzaka's men. I don't know if I'm butchering that, but there they go. And he thinks the driver's Luis, and this person here, we all know who it is. Luis ran into some trouble, Santiago. I offered to sit in for him. Who? And then he goes, no. And of course, real quick, we have our credits. Stephen Grant is the writer, Mike Zeck the penciler, and John Beatty is the inker. And we have this amazing splash page here. It just it's just really good as he's taking out his gun here. And Slaughterday is our title. I just want to look at it one more time here because it's really cool looking here. So, all right. And so, Punisher, you can see the shots are still going through. Punisher says, before you get trigger happy, keep in mind that I'm all that stands between you and Ejzaka's bullets. And, Carlos is like, Madre de Dios, why me? And Punisher says, I checked up on you, Santiago. Santiago is the guy's last name. As criminals go, you're almost tolerable. You run gambling in Spanish Harlem. You shark loans, but you play straight about it. You don't push or pimp, and you keep those who do unleash. A real pillar of the community. You can see that the car is heading toward these things here, and of course they see that and they're surprised, and Punisher's taking him out here. And Punisher says, that's not why I want you in one piece. And he says, stay here, I'll be back, as these two cars ram into each other. So Punisher's heading toward them, and this driver says, the Punisher, what's he doing here? The price on his head is enough to make us all rich men. Run him down. Of course, somehow Punisher hears him over all that noise, and he says, be my guest. So he jumps down into the sewer and then shoots up. So that's going to cause the car, of course, to blow up. And Punisher kind of gets out. He says, that's one you owe me, Santiago. Time to pay up. I saved your miserable life for a reason. And they kind of point guns at each other. This looks really nice here. This view here. And Punisher says, you're going to stop this war for me. And he's like, how am I supposed to do that? And Punisher says, a more pertinent question springs to mind. How badly do you want to live? And so uh, Carlos Santiago says, you're going to kill me anyway. Why should I trust you? And Punisher says, because you're small fry. You can't survive a protracted war. You can barely survive crossing the street. I'm the only hope you got. Work with me and you live. That's the deal. And so he takes it. It says here, I'd work with the devil himself if I had to. And Punisher says, one more thing, don't pull a gun on me. And he then says, convince Charlie Siciliano to set up another peace conference. I'll see to it everyone attends. And he says, how do I reach you? He says, you don't. I'll be in touch. And so he is going now to go to Angela's house. That's the love interest. And Punisher kind of is looking out the door. And Angela says, you can talk to me, love. What's the matter? And he says, nothing. I'm tired. And Punisher continues here. I feel sometimes like there's a circle of blood around me. Nothing I can do. Nothing I do can stanch it. Nothing. And he continues here. I've seen enough blood, Angela. I'm tired of blood. Of course, the conversation is being heard by oh my goodness gracious, the Alaric. And Angela's saying, hey, you should trust them. They're good and all that kind of stuff. And so this cowboy guy here is telling Alaric that trust and convince your plans are progressing in a meaningful way, boy. Suppose you convince us. And he says, putting an end to crime takes time. We sprung the Punisher from jail for starters. It's just a matter of time. And so he says, we blew up his van to make him more dependent on us. And with Angela going to work on him. And so, and she continues here. And she says, the advantages of being with a group. But Punisher actually is worried about that exact thing. Because in a group, you get committees. And he says there's too much room for bias, for corruption. And so he's absolutely right. When you answer to a large group, it can be a little bit more difficult than when you do things on your own. So there's pros and cons to both. When you're all by yourself, you're all alone and you have to come up with everything. But at the same token, he's right. Too much room for bias and corruption. And so he looks out the window and sees someone's looking up. And he says, Angela, do you know why someone would be watching your apartment? Real quick here, Daily Planet, that's pretty cool. And Chaikin flees New York City, investigates something. So he tells her, stand there and pretend like they're still talking. He's going to go see who's out there. Of course, it's the son of the first mobster that Punisher killed. And he says, or Punisher says, why are you following me? And he says, because you killed him. He was my father and you killed him. And Punisher says, revenge, I thought so. Step out of the car and let's get over this. And the guy's like, no, these men you fight, I hate them too. I want you to finish them. Then and only then. And Punisher says, don't be stupid. Pull that trigger and you'll be as bad as your father. And you'll die like your father. And so he talks to himself and says, and the circle of blood tightens. And so there's Siciliano here, and Punisher sneaks in, and he doesn't want to go to the peace talks, but Punisher says you have to. And he says, hey, tell me about Marcus Coriander. And he's like, not much to tell, came out of nowhere a month back. Took over Midtown Construction, has an office at Park 27th, but you don't have to visit him. He already agreed to the truth. Punisher? So Punisher sneaks out. So I think he was just trying to distract them here. So, and so Punisher comes through here, and they're like, how do we know it's you? Anybody could be pretending here. And suddenly you hear the twack thwap. and this guy here is like, hey, any signs of the Punisher yet? And then he thinks that he's here. He's like, have a seat. And then he hears the blam. And he's like, what the heck? Someone shot the oh, this was, I'm sorry. This is Santiago here. My bad. And we have a fake Punisher, and he shoots him. It says here, Coriander says goodbye. And Punisher actually does make it through here, and he tries to help the guy, and he's like, you pushed y'all, you got everyone to agree. You said I'd live, man. You were going to keep your promise. Is this how you keep your promise? And then he dies. And Punisher actually feels guilty. So we have all these other fake Punishers. Here's Coriander here. He knows Punisher's gonna be coming for him and wants him dead. So he's gonna have them practice here, and he's not impressed by them. Tells them to keep practicing. But Punisher's actually in his office here. Says, "I've been here for hours." And he says, I checked up on you, Coriander. You're no mastermind. 2 months ago, you were a small-time bookkeeper in Chicago. There's no way you could organize the death squads or take over the Manhattan mob. Someone went to a lot of trouble to put you where you are. Too bad it was for nothing. He's like, no, it wasn't. You've got to listen. And so he's basically going to tell him it's the Kingpin. Kingpin's alive, and he wanted a gang war to weed out his opposition and strengthen his control. And then no matter what he does, when everything's nothing will have changed. And so he's gonna basically still get rid of Coriander. Coriander's like, nope, and hits him with the lamp. And he's like, get him. And a Punisher shows up. They all look at him, and he's like, hey, there's 7 of us. And the guy's like, kill the Punisher. And Punisher's like, be my guest. So and so you can even hear it, and he's trying to get away. Punisher comes down, that was quick, down the stairs, and see the mom and little girl. He shoots, no to the little girl. So unfortunately, real quick, he's remembering all the children and the hurt and the war, his own family, and the mom is just distraught. And Punisher's gonna go after Coriander, and he's like, why do you pick me? I didn't want to. I'm no crook. I'm no killer. Why am I here? That little girl, he just feels so guilty here. And he says, you know, it's his fault. And Punisher's like, who? And his name is, and then he says, Alaric. And then Angela shoots him, and then we get Punisher. He surprises Angela, and Angela says, we thought you'd come to us, darling. Join us. We really did. You're too sentimental. And she says, we're fighting a war, and you know that better than any of us. And we're all expandable, darling. Even you. Sorry, even me, even you. And Punisher's like, Angela, not you too. And he falls down. Next, final solution. So, Punisher Limited Series, number 3. Stephen Grant and Mike Zeck. It's a pretty basic but good Punisher story. So, hope you liked it. Like and subscribe. I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.